Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Do you have a notepad and a pen handy? If not, grab one right now because I want you to take notes. Today you're going to need to take some notes, and each and every time we have these discussions, I want you to jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. But this concept that we're going to cover today may require a little bit of extra note taking if you're unfamiliar with it. So with that in mind, let's get started. Today I want to talk to you about 5S, and I'm not talking about some sweet solar powered supersonic spacecraft. That's a real thing that Elon Musk talks about, but 5S, it's a concept that is part of lean management and was very much practiced by Toyota as part of the Toyota way and their highly touted and well-studied management system. And there's a lot of benefits to this. So I hope you don't right away think, oh, I'm not interested in some kind of cleaning system or whatever preconceived notion you may have about 5S. Really keep an open mind and think why this is so well practiced across the world, and it can definitely be applied to your business. Any business can benefit from 5S. The reason it's called 5S is there are 5 Japanese words. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce the 5. Some of them aren't as bad as others in terms of their difficulty for pronunciation, but I don't want to offend our Japanese friends by brutalizing the pronunciation of the words. And all of them have been sort of converted into English counterparts, loose translations that also begin with S. So this is just a system for you to remember. The 5S, that is a way of you remembering off the top of your head what are the orders of the process. But you're going to practice this and you won't have to rely on your memory. So first of all, let's begin with the end in mind. What is the objective of 5S? The primary objective of 5S is to expose waste and highlight anomalies. And in doing that, it's going to present opportunities for improvement in your business. We've talked before about how waste is what you want to eliminate. The degree to which you can eliminate waste, or muda as the Japanese call it, in your business, the degree to which you can eliminate waste will be proportionate to how much you can improve. And it's a great way of streamlining your business. So when you think of 5S, just think of it that way. Think of it as 5S is going to be a primary mechanism, a primary system for you to expose waste, for you to bring to light any anomalies and areas of opportunity for improvement in your business. Now, you've heard me say many times that everyone acts in his own self-interest. And so I expect that you're only interested in 5S insofar as it's going to benefit you. And you need to bear that in mind as you consider the other stakeholders in your business and their participation in 5S and the buy-in that you may be able to get with them. And so with that in mind, let's just get started and dive right into what are the 5S's. And they are in a specific order here. So the first, no pun intended, the first one is known as sort. That's the English rough translation of the first S. And what we're referring to when we talk about sorting, first of all, you have to envision in your mind's eye your work area, your production area. That's what 5S is meant to be implemented within the area of your business in which production takes place. Now, because there are a variety of different production areas within different types of businesses, some are office environments, some are shop floors, maybe there's a manufacturing facility, it could be some kind of processing that you're doing. Whatever it is, you can apply 5S to that area. You can apply this to all different areas of your business, your own office, a boardroom, anywhere. Really, the sky's the limit. But the first thing is to sort. And what they're talking about when they say sort is to start gathering everything in and labeling things within a work environment, within a particular area that you're applying 5S to. And what we mean when we say sort is you are going to categorize these things to try to clean up the clutter and ascertain which things are critical to continued production and carrying out the work that you need to do in that particular place, and which things might be superfluous, those things that would be defined as clutter. And there's this concept of red labeling in the sort step of the 5S. And red tag is very much available online. You can download these, you can buy them from printers, but what it is literally a red tag. It's often about that size, about the size of your face maybe, and you would write on there why, you would categorize it in the sorting process. What is this? Is this something that is for donation? Is this something for recycling? Is this something that needs to be thrown out? Is this something that needs to be returned to another work area? Because it's, that's where clutter comes from. All these types of things. Garbage, things that you brought from one area to another and never returned, all this kind of thing. So the red tag process is about labeling things and setting those things aside so that you can sort, and then later in the end you can see where this is going. You're going to have only the stuff in that production area that you need for that area. And then so let's move on to the second S, which is to straighten out, like straighten, or set in order, it's also said. And as I say, these are loose translations of the Japanese S words that initially were practiced. So to set in order or to straighten out is, think of it this way, a place for everything and everything in its place. You've heard that before. And I remember when I was young and my grandfather's workshop, he would have outlined on the wall where his hammer went, and you could see if the hammer was missing, there was an outline you could see, and there was a place for the saw, and you could see like the outline of a saw with the little serrated edge and all that kind of stuff. And this is the idea of setting in order and straightening out, is to find where everything should go best. And with this in mind, you can think about, where is it going to be used? By whom is it going to be used? And you can make logical decisions based on the other concepts of Muda, like motion and conveyance. You wouldn't want to have, if somebody's workstation who needs that is in location A, you don't want to have a tool they need way, way, way across the shop. It should be more in order close to that. But then what you're doing in this second step, this straighten out, this set in order, is you are making it really simple to know where things go. And so that's one of the things you can do, is you can do that technique of outlining things. Another thing you might do is set things very nice and neat in order. Remember, a place for everything, everything in its place. And then you can take a picture of it, or you could draw a diagram of how it's meant to be laid out. And the idea is this is how it'll always be. Because in this step, you are setting things up in such a way that it'll be obvious if something's out of order. If something's missing, it is highlighted, and you will see that, oh, there's a tool that's supposed to be here, or this particular piece of equipment is usually here, why is it not here? So use labels, diagrams, images, photographs, these types of things to make it clear where everything belongs. Kind of label that. All right, step number 3, the third S, is shine or sweep. Again, English words, and they roughly translate to what we're trying to do in step number 3, which is to really clean. You want to clean the area thoroughly and continually clean it, keep it clean. And the purpose of this isn't just the obvious, which is a clean workstation is better, but remember what the overarching idea of 5S is to expose waste and highlight anomalies. And often there's a reason why something is messy, and it might not be obvious to you while things are messy, but in in cleaning it, the very act of cleaning an area may expose something like, well, there's a leak. This piece of equipment is actually dripping oil, some sort of fluid out of here, and that's contributing to some corrosion down here on the equipment. And by cleaning things up, everything's better. Now, I shouldn't have to spend much time convincing you of the necessity of a clean workstation, but we often work in clutter, and because of clutter, it's hard to clean. So you can see the chronological necessity of these orders. By first sorting things out with the first S, you're going to get rid of a bunch of clutter and things that don't belong in that work area. That's going to make it easier for step 3. And then when you put things in order, when you set things in order, you straighten them out, now everything's in its specific area, and then you're going to clean. Now, I will grant you this. The very first time you do this, if you have a particularly messy or dirty work area, you would set things in order, you would draw those diagrams and so on, but then you would remove that so that you could do a thorough cleaning the first time. See, things won't get as dirty once we keep the clutter away and once we keep things in order and everything, and that we're cleaning in perpetuity. So the very first time you're cleaning that area, let's say there's a drawer that things are going in or a cabinet, we're gonna wipe all of that down. We're really gonna do a thorough cleaning. I feel really good at the end of all of this. And then put things back in order. So you sort of do step number 3 the very first time, then come back to step 2 and put things where they belong. So that's the one caveat here, is you could do that out of order on the first time, and then after, in perpetuity, these things chronologically take place. But again, on step number 3, to shine or to sweep, you are going to do this with the idea of discovering, is there any reason why this is getting dirty? And here's an example: is somebody might be performing a task. Let's think in a kitchen or whatever. Maybe somebody is performing a task that's making things more dirty or messy than they need to be because of the clutter. They're not doing it in the right area that they should be doing it, or they're using a wrong piece of equipment or whatever. Once you start to clean, what happens to the human brain is you start to ask yourself questions, and it's all about good questions. And you're like, well, why is there so much sawdust over here? Why is there this fluid over here? What is this? Why does this corrosion exist over here? These things, as they start to be exposed when you're cleaning, you start to go, oh yeah, well, we need to change our process for how we do this. This person should be working closer to here. This is a tool that they should be using. Let's make sure that when we set things in order, we have the tool close to this station. We keep this clutter free so the person won't be tempted to do the job over there, which is less safe. And safety is a huge thing. Part of the 5S system is you get a lot more safety with all of this. Okay, so that is the third S, which is to shine or sweep, basically clean and uncover the reasons why things are maybe getting unnecessarily dirty. And then the fourth one is to standardize. And when we talk about standardizing, I want you to think about documenting exactly. So now, after the third step, you've got a workstation and everything laid out the way you want it. And now what you're going to do is you're going to document things, including the processes, and describe the rationale behind how you got to this. So think of standard operating procedures, again, diagrams, images, these types of things that will indicate to all the workers, all the stakeholders, all the people that are involved, this is exactly how we do things. This is the standard we expect to be upheld. This is the process, and here's the process map. We're going to do this the same way every time. Now, of course, we believe in perpetual refinement. We believe in continuous improvement. So it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's expected that your process will change over time. So the standardized that we just talked about, the standard will change. You will adapt, and you will update those documents, those standard operating procedures, and you will update any kind of imagery and instructions that you have. And that's the whole point behind this, is because now, as we're going through this, we're realizing, oh my goodness, yeah, there was a real opportunity here. I see where I'm wasting some efficiency over here, and you start to standardize these things. You start to describe them and you discuss them. It's communication throughout this whole process being done. And that's something I should have said at the beginning. This is a real team effort. All of those who are involved in working in a particular area. Now, if you're applying 5S as a leader just to your office, that might be a great place to start to set an example, then by all means do that. But later, as you expand out to your team and you get your other stakeholders involved, then you're going to want to collaborate and let other people get their opinion in about what is the best way to do something and everything, so that when you standardize, it's coming from everybody. It's coming from all, you're showing that respect of getting the input from the people who are working in those areas and who know it best. It's never about the boss mandating this to the troops and to the masses. It always should come from the front lines, and they should have buy-in. Okay, so you're going to standardize the things. And then the fifth S is to sustain. And we also talk about self-discipline. So the fifth S can, in your mind, think of sustaining the process and through self-discipline. There's a couple of S's there. So what we're talking about here is we want to maintain this in perpetuity, and this needs to happen with your team, as I just said a moment ago. It's not up to the boss solely to try to make this happen. In fact, if you try to dictate this, to mandate this to your people, it will never work. Remember what we started off by saying is people always act in their own self-interest. And you have to align objectives. So everything about the fifth S, sustaining and self-discipline, comes back to that notion of people asking, what's in it for me? And so if somebody doesn't understand why this is beneficial, they're not going to develop that self-discipline. This is not going to sustain in perpetuity. It's going to break down constantly. You're going to be a little bit frustrated. And this is not a janitorial process. This is about innovation in your business. This is about eliminating waste and exposing anomalies and highlighting opportunities for improvement. And you want everyone to buy into that. So think about that. How can you do that? Visit our video on aligning objectives, but just real quickly here, think about what could you do to get buy-in from your people. Now, we said that safety is one of the things that you benefit from, but so often people don't really think about their own safety as such a priority. I mean, that's just an opinion or an observation. I can be wrong, and it's of course it varies based on individual. But that, I guess, is the best way to say it, is that that's probably not enough to say to people, hey, we're gonna have a safer work environment as a result of this. That's certainly one of the things to buy into, but I would look to other things like the way that people are paid and the way that people have their performance measured. Those are the things that people really care about. So tie performance reviews to 5S. And when somebody's operating and they're sustaining the 5S process in their work area really well, that should reflect highly, and they should get commendation for doing that. They should get that pat on the back, and they may be getting more money as a result of that. So give some consideration to how this works into those two areas, the remuneration and their performance reviews, their performance metrics, their report cards, that they're getting more commendation and pats on the back from the boss. They're getting recognized for outstanding. Then work really with your team to create a culture where people want to do this, where people come in on their own time, perhaps. This might seem far-fetched to you, but this is quite common in industries and companies that run with 5S very successfully. They find that people so much appreciate how it benefits the individual worker that person, even without the boss ever saying a word, would want to maintain that. They want their clean work area. They want to be more productive. They feel good about it. You've experienced that when you're working in a clutter-free, clean environment and you get into the zone, so to speak, and things are going really well. Conversely, it's very frustrating when you can't find something you're looking for, equipment's missing. So when the team collaborates about this, and part of the sustaining and the self-discipline is this ongoing communication. So I would recommend that you adopt some sort of communication meeting. I was avoiding the word meeting, but really it is a meeting, some sort of mechanism through which you communicate and you talk about the benefits that others have noticed through the 5S system. Somebody may not have noticed something. I say, hey, now that you mention it, yeah, every time I do need that piece of equipment X, Y, or Z, it seems available where I could never find it before, or it was always in use. It was very frustrating. It slowed me down, these kinds of things. And when people are discussing this and sharing their experience and their observations about the benefits of the 5S, it starts to get a little bit contagious where people are like, yeah, I really like that. And the enthusiasm will grow from there. So this is a really important part of it, the communication. And I really want to emphasize to you that this will not work if this is a mandate from the boss where others do not participate and do not realize any benefits. So make it fun. You know, the very first time you do a 5S project and cleaning and everything, people might be rolling their eyes and thinking, getting some sort of sanitizing solution out and cleaners and rubber gloves and sweeping up and everything. That's not my job. That's not in my job description. But everybody has a vested interest in the success of the business. And if they understand, our business will be more successful, your department will be more successful, you personally will be more productive, and you will be recognized for that and rewarded in some way for that. And it'll become self-rewarding. And that's when it becomes sustaining. Those are the 5 S's. So let's just review them once again. We start by sorting. We're going to put things into various piles, into various categories, and we're going to red tag them and make sure that they get distributed and dispersed to where they belong, whether it's thrown out in the garbage, recycled, donated to charity, sold. Some items, it's like, well, this is an old piece of equipment we don't use anymore, we're gonna sell this. And you can actually generate some revenue from getting rid of some old inventories and things like this that are just cluttering up the place. Don't be a hoarder. So the first one is sorting and taking advantage of the red tag process. Then the second S is to straighten out, set in order. So we're going to think about a place for everything in its place, and how are we going to sort in such a way, how are we going to straighten out in such a way that puts things where they most logically do belong, and it would be intuitive for people to find it there. And we're going to document it in such a way so that it highlights when something's missing. And then the third one is to shine or sweep, clean, and that is in perpetuity. We're always cleaning every single day. We're going to try to leave it better than you found it. Certainly, as you're going to leave it as good as you found it, but to the degree that there's any clutter, any kind of dust or any kind of debris, you're going to leave it better than you found it. And everybody should take pride in that. And then the fourth one is we're going to standardize this, and we're going to do this each time we make an improvement, each time that this leads, the 5S system leads to innovation and to improvements, we're going to document that as part of the new standardized process that we do each and every day. This might have to do with, well, where do we stock the inventories? It's like, hey, I've noticed that we could flip the shelves that these things are on, and it's much more convenient because we use that item much more often than that item. So we change the standardization. We change the documentation and the images and the diagrams so everyone knows, and we follow that religiously, so to speak. And then the fifth one is self-discipline to sustain. And that's about communicating and getting buy-in from one another, communicating in such a way that we make sure that everybody understands the benefits and that we all benefit. There's this thing where it's like, hey, thanks very much for your participation in it because it really benefited me, and then I feel some sort of reciprocity where I'm going to do something back for you. And align objectives. Make sure that if the business is benefiting from this, and I assure you it will, that your people are benefiting from it. It's not just about the boss getting his way here. Everyone wins when you're following 5S. So that's 5S in a nutshell. I really encourage you to pilot this, try this in your own area, set an example as the boss, be there, do not let your team go out there with the gloves and cleaning where you're standing on the sidelines. You want to be in there with them, setting an example, and then everyone will benefit from this. Give it a try, see how it works, and then leave a comment and let me know how this works out for you. Is there something I missed here? Do you want me to elaborate on this? There's lots of information out there on 5S that you can benefit from. I really encourage you to try this. Leave a comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.